Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TBoD EXP. I'm here as always with the Quim Ninja, and I am Eremenko, and today we are going to be talking about a game type that has become somewhat dear to us. During recent years, it's risen quite substantially, you would say. We're talking about episodic content. Is it a good idea, or is it just a cash-in? We're going to let Quim open up the floor with this one, and what do you think, mate?
Okay, hello everybody, by the way. I'm here, and I'm proud to be here after smashing the place up
Breaking the set.
Yes, it's something I've been considering a bit recently, actually, when it comes to episodic content, and the question whether it's a good thing or a cash-in, I would say good thing.
Episode over, that's it, we're done.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Just kidding. Carry on, mate.
So yeah, the reason I think it is a good thing all round in general would be, so from the point of view of the gamer and the average gamer, I would say an average gamer. I'm certainly not hardcore. I'm certainly more towards casual now, down to time constraints, etc. But you know, I'm 31-year-old. Average age of the gamer is round about that, between 30 and 32, depending on which part of the world you're looking at. And gone are those days of playing, 15-hour WoW sessions, 10-hour Halo sessions, with only orange juice and cigarettes to keep you fueled. I just can't get to do that anymore. And in fact, I find large games, I've always been kind of a bit daunted by RPGs, for example, but kind of large open world games in general, I find a little bit kind of bit like it's a mountain to climb.
True.
And
daunting task.
It often puts me off playing it. Most recent example, Far Cry 4. I loved Far Cry 3. It was fucking brilliant. I never completed that game because there was loads to it. Far Cry 4, got that, started playing it, played about 8 hours of it, 10% of the way through, yeah?
Yeah.
Like, for me to even consider completing that game, it's like, well, it's taking me 8 hours to get through what I am now to 10%. So, all right, so times the time I've played by 10 to get 100%, that's 80 hours. I don't have that type of time. I'm lucky to get 80 hours gameplay in a year. So
that makes sense.
It just kind of makes me go, well, when I go to play a game, oh, do I put that Far Cry in and play that? Or do I play the latest Telltale game, which I know the episode is 2 hours long, means I can play it in 1 or 2 sittings. I get to experience the storyline in that miniature arc there. I know I'm going to finish it and appreciate it as a contained episode.
Yeah.
And I know in a couple of months' time, when I find myself with another couple of hours spare, when one of those comes out, it's a nice bite-sized chunk for me to play. So for me, it's definitely a good thing. And for a lot of gamers, I imagine who are in a similar situation with me, with families, jobs, etc. But as far as developers go, I think it's a good thing for them to do as well. I mean, if you were to keep going down the stats route here, if you were to look at the Steam stats, so how many games are completed in Steam, I think it was 10% of games get completed in everyone's Steam library, right? Now, if you take that same ethos that I've just laid out there, that, I feel it's a lot easier to go through these episodic games because they're given to me drip-fed in, piecemeal format. If more games are like that, I imagine more people would play through someone's entire game. Imagine how much effort you put in, or a developer must put into their game. And, only 10% of people who play their game actually experience the whole thing.
Yeah.
There's all that effort towards the end of a game that nobody even gets to see. With episodic content, that's, that number increases. Sure, it's not 100%, but
be interested to see what the percentage is of people who've purchased an episode of Telltale's The Walking Dead, and what the percentage of people that have completed that episode is.
Yeah, I would. That would be a really good infographic for them to release. Actually, like I imagine it's going to be higher than 10% for sure.
Well, I would say it's probably above 50, because once you start on one of those, it's difficult to stop. That doesn't. in the middle of an episode, there doesn't ever feel like a natural stopping point. You know,
Yeah.
the natural stopping point obviously comes in the break between episodes.
Yeah.
You never like hit a save point and go, oh, I'll leave it there for now, sort of thing.
Sure.
So I mean, I can't think of a time where I haven't just completed an entire episode in a single sitting of any episodic content game of that style. I've just blasted right through the whole 2-hour campaign straight off the bat. But as a counterpoint to what you're saying, I'm not disagreeing with you, because I feel like episodic content is a good thing as well. But as a counterpoint to what you're saying, there are some instances and some ways where it doesn't work. For example, I'm going to talk about The Wolf Among Us here, and I'm going to get a little bit spoilery. So if any of you guys at home haven't played, don't listen for the next 2-3 minutes.
Or the game's been out for ages now. If you've not played it, he's not going to get that spoilery. Just listen to the cast, enjoy it, and just take that information with you when you play it, and you might make better decisions.
So I was talking to one of the guys who lives here at TBoD Towers with me, because you know we live in just to make sure the offices are safe and secure.
Well, we have a living maid. His name is Bad Mother Liquor.
Bad Mother Liquor, yeah. So I was discussing Wolf Among Us with him, and he's just recently finished playing through it on Android, and we were talking about the ending when he's talking to the Little Mermaid at the end.
Okay, yeah.
Can't remember what her name is now.
Ariel?
Well, it isn't Ariel, is it? Narissa.
I don't remember. But
Narissa. Yeah. He's talking to Narissa at the end, and she says a line in exactly the same intonation as the girl in the beginning.
Okay.
And I'd missed that because there was so long between me playing the first episode and me playing the final episode.
Right.
And he'd picked up on it, obviously, and therefore got a greater sense of the story because he'd played through them all just straight back to back. And there is an argument that doing that allows you to get a little bit more in depth, and especially if it's something that's going to have twists and turns like that, you will notice things a little bit more because you know you're playing right through them. I suppose you could argue that I should have done that when the final episode came out. I should have played through all of them and done it at the end, but that sort of defeats the purpose of episodic content existing.
Sure. No, I totally see where you're coming from with that. I mean, at the same time, I would say that playing them all at once is great. And yes, he did pick up on that. I would be interested to see how many people play through these games more than once. To experience the different types of things. But sticking with the story, what I think is good about episodic content as far as narrative goes is the way that they're able to hit those kind of emotional beats a lot better.
Yeah.
So, your traditional type of game, it's 10 hours long. It's, play this part, hit a cutscene, find out what the crack is, and then you're playing through, waiting to hit that next cutscene. Episodic games have the luxury of being able to, they've got 2 hours for you to fit more story, and so you're getting a lot more kind of, a lot more meat on your bone when it comes to the story. Although I would say a counterpoint to that is that they may suffer a bit mechanically. A lot of these are kind of interactive stories, which is kind of the point.
Yeah.
But you don't get as in-depth kind of mechanics. You certainly don't get like skill trees and loads of side quests, this, that, and the other. It's all very much focused, but it gives you a lot more of a kind of refined slice and a lot more well-presented storyline on the most part than you would in a traditional game. Going back to my Far Cry example, you get off on these side quests and speaking to these, fairly bog standard like people that are fairly forgettable, but then they're distracting you from what the main storyline is. You don't get any of that. You just get a well-told story, and they're easily accessible because those mechanics aren't that in-depth.
Yeah.
So, and again, a good thing about episodic content is that accessibility, because they'd only come out every few months, with the case of Telltale, the case of Kentucky Route Zero, with the case of Life is Strange. All of these games, they come out every couple of months. And so rather than you having to go and relearn the buttons and all of that kind of thing, as you would if you were to just pick up, say, an open world game and have to figure it out a bit after you've been playing a few different games. It's very immediate. You're back into it. So it makes it a lot more accessible for the gamer. You get a better crafted story, in my opinion, and it's less daunting. So for the gamer, I think that's great.
Well, it's funny. I mean, obviously, you've just made a lot of valid points in terms of episodic content there, but I've just finished episode 2 last night of a new game that's come out with episodic content, Resident Evil Revelations 2.
Okay.
And everything that you said there is completely valid for most episodic content games, but it isn't for this. So this is coming out weekly, I believe, and well, it certainly has done for the first 2 episodes, 2 episodes in 2 weeks. And we've obviously played through the first episode and then gone back, and straight away, as soon as we started playing it again, we were like, how do you crouch again? What buttons throw a grenade? And it's sort of completely opposite, because this is much more of a traditional game.
That they've just
they've got those mechanics still in.
out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that all of them are ready. Although I did have to download 4.2 gig to play the second episode, so maybe they're not. I believe that they're all sort of ready to go straight off the bat. But the other thing is, this game has got a skill tree, and you, using bonus items that you find, you can spend that money on like rubies and stuff on upgrades for your characters.
Okay.
And I think that kind of works in episodic content as well, because you're straight away thinking about the next episode. You know, you think you've played through an episode, and then at the end of the episode, you get the option to upgrade certain skills, and you look at it and you think, right, well, I thought that my pistol was underpowered in this episode, so I'm going to upgrade that. Or you think, it would be really handy if the side character had this ability or that ability or what have you. And I think that just extends the lifespan of an episodic game, having that ability to change it up and to replay the first episode to get extra points in order to be more upgraded and more ready for the next episode. I think is a really, really good idea. So you're going back and looking for items that you might have missed to get the extra money to buy these extra upgrades and stuff on it.
Okay.
Which is, I guess, another point for episodic content rather than being a con against it.
Well, I can see I understand where you're coming from, like, because it sounds to me, I've not played it, but it sounds like Revelations 2 is taken a game and carved it into 5-6 bits or however many it is. Whereas, so I wouldn't really, although it technically is, I wouldn't necessarily class that as in the episodic content genre, because it just happens to be a game that they're serving up to you like in a kind of Monster of the Week style TV show.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So although it is in parts, to me it sounds more like it's just like one game, we're going to give it to you in 5 bits, rather than, right, this is one experience, but it's 5 story points. You know what I mean? It's very much more about the mechanics here, as it is mostly with Resident Evil. You couldn't really say much about the story of any Resident Evil game.
Well, the stories are all right. It's the dialogue that's
we can get into a whole nother.
It has given me. I've just tweeted out actually. It's given me 2 new catchphrases already. The start of the first episode gave me the catchphrase, "Well, that's a moist barrel of fuck."
Brilliant.
There's a character in it, and somebody's obviously been playing The Last of Us and gone, you know what we need? We need a sweary teenage girl. So this girl swears all the time, and moist barrel of fuck was a classic. And then the second episode, there's these 2 like Hispanic guys, and one of them's like, "Mother of balls!" And that's my other new catchphrase. So,
brilliant.
I think they work.
Yeah, I think those are going to keep the zombies at bay for sure.
Yeah.
So where are we falling on this then? Are we going good thing or cash in?
Neither of us have really managed to come up with any applicable cons, so I think we have to say that it's a good thing, as long as they continue to offer what I suppose is a subscription model, so you can choose as a consumer to either buy it episodically or to buy a season pass. Like, I know for a fact that every consecutive series of Walking Dead that Telltale release and every consecutive series of Wolf Among Us that Telltale release, I will be buying the full pass rather than buying it episodically, because it just makes sense.
Well,
It's
it
so
saves
much
money.
cheaper and get to play the whole game in one file swoop, basically.
Yeah, I think those. I mean, and again, this is it's on topic, but not. I think that the pricing structure is important for any type of game like this. I know on the consoles, if you buy, you can buy the first episode, and then you'll get a discounted season pass
Oh,
on
okay.
Xbox
That
One
makes sense.
and PS4. So the first episode. So the season pass includes episodes 2 to 5, and you have to buy the first one separate. But it gives you the idea it adds up to the same as if you just bought the season pass on Steam, but it gives you the option to just spend a few quid on the first episode, and if you like it, buy the season pass.
Well, they've done that with mobiles. You can play the first episode of Walking Dead on Android for nothing.
Okay. In
And
fact, yeah, you
buy the
can do that
season
on
pass
iOS
afterwards.
as well, I think. Yeah, I've never really seen any downsides to episodic content as me personally as a gamer. I can understand that people who prefer a deeper rooted game mechanically and are all about the gameplay would, but they may not be as interested in this type of game. But for me personally, who loves to experience a well-told story and get immersed in it, I think it's the best way to go.
If some of the bigger developers catch on to it, though, and start hammering out episodic content that are games that are 8-9 quid an episode, and there's no option for a season pass, then we start going down the route of all evil, basically, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. The root of all evil.
And on that note, I didn't do bombshell. It's okay. On that note, we will say goodbye for this episode. We'll catch you next time for another TBoD EXP.
Goodbye. I wish you had used bombshell. I would have ripped the arse out of you like you ripped the arse out of me every
I would have totally deserved it.
time.